This conference will now be recorded.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Hey, welcome everybody to this Monday's LanderBolt Success Hour, and I'm going to do a virtual interview in a moment and bring on someone who is quite not quite well known. However, unless you've been living under a rock, if you've been in the industry, you'll have heard of his product and his business. He's very reclusive. However, he has a really, really good business that he runs, and he is able to balance his family life with also being a developer, creator, an inventor, and ultimately a business owner. His business also gives him the time freedom that he enjoys to be with his children when he wants to be with his children, to do yoga, go to the beach, and to enjoy life, having the time money disconnect. And that's something that I'm sure all of you and even me would love to learn about him. So I'm going to bring him on right now. Everyone, this is Nana. And forgive me if I pronounce your last name, Nana.
No problem.
Gilbert-Baffoe? Gilbert-Baffoe?
Gilbert-Baffoe, yeah.
Gilbert-Baffoe. So
yeah.
I'll let Nana, I'll let you take over, and I'll let you give everyone the who you are, what you do, what your business is, and your humble beginnings, encapsulation, and I'll let you take over the call.
All right, sure. Thanks a lot, Jordan. Really happy to be on the call with you and everyone else today. So as you mentioned earlier, my name is Nana Gilbert-Baffoe, and the business that I run is called Tracking 202/Prosper 202. It's an analytics and marketing tool that performance marketers have used for past 10 plus years to scale up, optimize, and attribute their campaigns, figure out what aspects of their marketing is working well, so that they can scale up on those things and find the things that are not working so that they can spend less time, effort, and resources on those. Before all of that started, though, I was a solo marketer back in Chicago. I started all this online stuff a little bit before college and got really more serious about it in college. And right before graduating, I kind of promised myself that I'd never get a job. I'd have to figure out a way to make money online so that I could sustain myself and my expenses and have a good life online. Unfortunately, things were not going as well as I needed. And I would say that right before graduation, I looked at how far or how close I was to my goal of being able to make anything online, and realized that I was not actually where I needed to be. So at that point, I was kind of disappointed. And I started like getting my resume cleaned up and ready and looking for places to apply to start working. But also at that same time, I had been masterminding with someone, another college student online, that we both had the same dreams, and we talked with each other almost every day. I would say pretty much every day on AOL Instant Messenger, if you remember that from way back in the day. And so we kind of supported each other. We shared our learnings and discoveries, and any kind of success that we had, we'd share with each other. We would expand on that and really advance rapidly. And what happened was this friend of mine discovered a new software tool that he was having success with, and he recommended I should take a look. And at that point in time, I really did not trust just the claims that software was making. It just sounded too easy, too good to be true. But I kind of scraped up my last few dollars, purchased the software, started building out websites with it. And lo and behold, it actually started working. And from that point on, things just kept on falling in place until we are kind of up to where we are now, where I'm running Prostitute and providing services to marketers and having an awesome time doing it.
Now, let me interrupt you there.
Sure.
I just heard you say have an awesome time, and
Hmm.
that's something I think a lot of us business owners don't do.
Hmm.
We don't have fun, and uh, can you talk to everyone on the call about that, having an awesome time and having fun, and also to back up a little bit further,
Hmm.
you mentioned taking your time with things. And that's another thing, taking your time with things and patience that I've seen from you and you talked about. But having fun in your business, could you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I feel sets me apart from a lot of people is that I find it important to enjoy what I'm doing. And so going back to everything that I knew what kind of person I was back when I was in college, when I was younger, and I realized that I would never really enjoy myself if I was working for someone. So I knew that um, because of the kind of person that I was, I had to make this work somehow, and that has kind of been something that's been important to me all through my career, um, running a business. Even with Prostitute 2, when the original founders were pitching me to join the company, I told them no multiple times because I looked at um, what I had in my life and how much I enjoyed the freedom that it gave me, and realizing that if I joined up with this group of people and started working in this company, it would turn into just a regular job. That was my kind of feeling about it. The thing that happened though was that I kept on hanging out with these two guys, Wes and Steven were the founders, and I actually started having a lot of fun hanging out with them because I realized that they were doing something really amazing and wonderful. And if I join on board doing or helping them to grow their business, it wouldn't be a regular job. It would be a bunch of friends hanging out and doing cool stuff. And that's what pushed me to say, hey, I want to, try this out and, jump into this. Although it would be something that would make me give up a few of the freedoms that I had, I realized that it would also bring a lot of fun and joy into my life. And so that was like the big motivation to actually go ahead and say yes to them. And that has kind of continued on with just business decisions that I choose and make on a daily or monthly basis, is always looking and seeing if it's going to add joy to my life or if it's going to add a burden and stress that I do not want. Because to me, I look at it and I've read a few interesting articles about, what people think about at the ends of their lives when they look back on their accomplishments and stuff. And the most important thing that lots of people say is the meaningful things that they did. It's not the hours of sitting at the desk grinding away that brought them the joy. It was the interaction with their friends, their family, their loved ones, and the people that mattered, the events and the happy, joyful moments that they had in their lives that they cherished the most. And those are the things that they wish they had been able to have more of instead of that extra 10 hours at your desk grinding away.
Yeah, no, let me stop you there.
Hmm.
And you just talked about the grind. A
Yeah.
lot of new business owners, there is, they believe that is the key to success,
Hmm.
to grind. And I've heard you talk about how your wife says you're the luckiest man in the world. And you're barely ever on an actual computer. Today is only, it takes me a week to get you on an actual computer. And I believe you actually get a lot more done doing less because you'll only sit down and work at what you consider work when you actually feel like it, instead of forcing yourself to sit down on that computer. Can you talk about your work ethic and how you're able to get so much done, and how you juggle that with your family life at the
Mhm.
same time?
Sure. So I joke around with my wife a lot about how if if I had the choice, I would never work and spend time, just doing everything that's actually more fulfilling in life, spending time with her and my kids. I think that's like the ideal, like dream life, that like to never have to touch work again. Obviously, that's not a possibility. And so the thing to do, I try and do, is to get the most out of, the work that I'm doing. And part of it comes from being able to automate some of the grind work out of my day, my day to day. And then the other part is actually thinking through what you're doing and trying to figure out the most time leverage tasks, or the resource leveraging, so that you can put less effort in and get like big results out. And a lot of that comes from actually sitting and stopping and thinking about what you want to do versus just jumping right in and doing things. I know, Jordan, you and I, we've talked a lot about, some of the business challenges and ideas that we've kind of talked to each other about. And a lot of times is just, pausing and thinking things through, so you can take an action that produces much bigger results than the alternative.
You made some great points there as well, about how you can automate parts of your business
Yeah.
that are viewed as a grind.
Hmm.
Automation is simply the best in business, because
Yeah.
systems and automation are the key to freedom and the type of lifestyle that we all want, which is automated income and
Hmm.
multiple streams of income. And then in addition, what you have is a product that's been selling for 10 years, and you've made many improvements to it, but the basics of that product, the base core of it, haven't changed over those 10 years, which I think is truly amazing. The foundation of it. So could you not talk about products, and how you can slap a shiny cover on a product, but at the end of the day, the core product you have been selling for the past 10 years hasn't really changed. And I think that is incredible, a feat to do.
Yeah. So I step back and say that the core product was not initially designed by me. So there was some interesting thinking and thought that went in from the original founder, Wes and Stephen, into the product itself. And one thing that I've been learning a lot about and applying is looking at the core job that needs to be done with the product, and making sure that the product solves that need. And once you've actually spent the time to design for the job that needs to be done, you realize that it doesn't need much work once that job has been defined. If that job doesn't change, then that product will still fulfill that need and continue to um, perform for the end users. And it's been incredible because occasionally I'll talk to someone and ask them like what version of the software they're using, and they'll mention the version number, and it's something from like probably the early days. And I still get shocked and surprised when they respond, because it's working very well for them. And that's like the perfect example of how when a product is built and designed to solve a problem and it's done correctly, there's not very much that you need to do to keep having it be of use to a user. The main thing that I have been doing on the software is looking at new problems that need to be solved and then applying solutions to that. And so a lot of the new features are solving new problems versus trying to go back and solve any problems that have already been addressed in the software.
Now, let me interrupt you right there,
Yeah.
because there's a huge number of business owners who think everything is old, is antiquated.
Yeah.
When in fact, that could be no further from the truth, because actually what's happening in the industry and we're seeing right now, from what you told me and the feedbacks we're getting from affiliates, is that now the basics of what you've created and what you have been behind, those fundamentals are really, old things are not antiquated. They are just as relevant today.
Yeah. I think the perfect example for that would be how the big thing in the industry now is the whole redirectless tracking, basically being able to track from a traffic source to a landing page without going through a redirect. And this is a feature that was in Prosper 2 even before I kind of took over the product. And that was maybe 10 years back. But now it's a big thing now, and all the tracking software vendors are making a loud noise about this new thing that they have. But it's something that has been, built into Prosper for longer than I can even remember. And so it's not always about the new shiny thing. It's about being able to, going back to what I said, understand the problem that needs to be solved and then solving it well. And when you do that, you'll see that you're not always like iterating on product design and product features and stuff, because it's a strong base that it's built up on versus, like going with the flow and kind of jumping at solutions here and there. That just creates much more work for you than you need to do, which is also going back to what I said. Stop and think through what you need to do so that you can do it with the most leverage action versus just jumping into something and working at it and knowing that you're probably going to solve it wrong and you have to redo the whole thing again. And to me, that's just a waste of time and resources to keep on, redoing things that you don't have to do.
I love what you said about that, Nana, and I'd like to shift a little bit because you're the OG of affiliate marketing, and what a lot of new affiliates or affiliates who even have been in the industry for 5 years, we don't know what it was like before. Like, for example, when pin submit offers were legal in the United States, before the early days when you were the original gangster. And that's what I really wanted to call about is for you to give us two or three little secrets of what it was like back then when it was a wild, wild west. Well, really, it's always a wild, wild west, but back then it really was an adventure of a lifetime. So if you could talk about that briefly, I think the viewers would and the listeners would love that.
Yeah, so I talk to friends on and off, and we talk about like the old days when things were much easier. And to me, for me anyway, sometimes I look back and say, back then things were easy and we didn't realize how easy life was and how little you had to do to be successful. We're talking about, super high click-through rates for a banner that you put up, not a lot of competition when you're running a campaign. So It was funny because people who didn't even know anything about affiliate marketing could just look and see what was happening, replicate it, and be super successful. Um, those days have pretty much disappeared. I think that there's still opportunities out there, but now everything's kind of been defined. It's like a system. There's like a model that needs to be followed. It's not it's not hard, but then there's still that you got to follow the steps. You got to follow like what's been predefined in terms of how to run campaigns, how to ensure that you can scale properly, how to squeeze out as much profits out of the campaigns that you're running so that you can compete in this highly competitive landscape that it's become. And obviously, because it's highly profitable, a lot of people come into the industry and it's not as easy anymore.
So would you agree that because it's not as easy, that things that were relevant 5-10 years ago, methods, actually work better now, because they're different? And also how my big question, Anna, is a business is a business is a business, and you are an incredibly savvy marketer, and selling is not evil, and most people who enter sales and marketing are afraid to sell. However, selling every business is the same: traffic, conversion, cash. And people who think businesses are different, my business is different, and I can't apply this, is something that you taught me. So would you talk about that?
Yeah. So the big thing that I like to get across to people is that, number one, we're in business, but we interact with people, and people have not changed for millions of years. And so the first thing that I like to do is, understand how humans work, how we think, how we feel, the things that, push us to do one thing versus the other, and try and understand the psychology, because that's going to drive so much more success for you than any tip strategy that you will learn. Change this button, make it green or make it blue, and you're going to get whatever click-through rate. That doesn't matter as much as being able to understand how people think and how they behave, because when you understand that core aspect of people, you can invent new things and not copy things and still have success. So there's the psychology. The great book to read on that is Influence by Robert Cialdini. It's a really, really awesome book. It's a nice framework that you can use to, apply in your business, your life, everything. It's awesome. And so once you've got that, then you can add on like your basic marketing and sales knowledge. That's something that I feel new people come into this industry and they want to find success, and they forget that this is a sales and marketing type industry. And so they never learn the basics, but they still want to have success online. And it's just almost impossible to succeed when you don't understand what you're doing. You're not just building landing pages and picking offers and buying clicks and praying and hoping that it works. There is marketing involved, there is sales involved, there's psychology involved, and not understanding that will leave you to be a copycat forever. And when you're copying, you're always going to be behind the curve. A lot of times, whatever you're copying has stopped working. And, the innovators have moved on to bigger, better things. They've kind of pulled all the money out already. And anybody seeing what they're doing now is seeing something that's multiple months old or multiple years old. And it's pretty much just scraps of what has been working already. So if you don't want to be in that situation, get the basics down, understand that we're dealing with people, and people have their needs, their wants, their fears, their desires, and your job is to understand that, find the best product and service to solve those needs and provide it to them in a way that resonates with them well enough so that they convert. And the big thing for me, I know certain other marketers may not, feel the same as I do about it, is that I believe strongly in providing value to your end users. Choosing the offers that, like, if you had a family member that had that same need, you would feel no issues recommending it to them because it's the absolute best thing for them in that situation. If you can't, if you can't get away from behind your screen to stand in front of the person that clicked your ad and say, hey, I'm the guy that did this banner and put you through this landing page funnel and made you buy this product. I'm the guy. Are you going to come and hug me and thank me for putting this in front of you? Or are you going to want to curse and punch me out for putting you through this experience? Figure out what experience your end users will have and make sure that it's something of high value enough that you'd never be afraid to stand in front of them and openly admit that you're the marketer behind that experience that they just had.
Okay, I've got to stop you there because that is a golden gem of kind of like a litmus test of should I be of affiliates. In my opinion, some of us put our heads in the sand and just run the offer and just look at the ROI and if I have many regrets of offers I've ran, and I do that now and look back and think of that person standing in front of me and that product that I just used a creative sales copy to sell them, and I regret it. And in the book Influence, they talk about the rule of reciprocity.
Yeah.
And when you mastermind with someone, you mastermind the spirit of harmony and hold nothing back. And I believe you use the rule of reciprocity, and that like the Krishnas giving out roses in airports, and then people would throw them out and they go to this trash can and they pick up the rose again, and they had a donation box, but they would just go up and hand you the rose without asking for a donation, and then you have a rose in your hand, and eventually they made them stop doing that because they're making so much money. But you really, from my interactions with you over the past 2 years, you use the rule of reciprocity better than anyone I've ever seen in business. And another huge thing I gotta get out of you is how you approach saving money, because everyone in my business, I'm always like making money, and then you find out that there's an AWS coupon for $50,000 somewhere,
right?
and then there's the stories of Lee Iacocca, one of the most brilliant and most wealthy salesmen in the world, using a 10% off coupon at a convenience store when he could bought the entire store. So I would love for you to share with our listeners about saving money in business and how that is the equivalent of making money, and how you use that rule of reciprocity, because you have actually given me free advice that has transformed my business, and those secrets that you've shared with me, they just were incredible that you shared with me for free without and that's in the spirit of harmony creates a mastermind where we're all giving each other information, and that's how you got started.
Yeah. So I've always, believed that to get the most out of the life that you live in, you've got to treat everyone give them the benefit of the doubt, make them prove to you who they are as a person, versus listening to what others say about the person or not. And with that comes the whole thinking that if I'm interacting with someone, I want to give them the best that I can give, because that is what I would want anyone that I interact with to do for me. And so a lot of times, I will, we talked when we first met. I just I just saw just how much potential you had in your business. And to me, it just did not feel right to say, well, I'm going to hold back from Jordan because he hasn't paid me and I don't know him and this and that. It just, every time that I have given above and beyond, I have received much more than I have put into that relationship. Um, because, for example, way back in the day when I was training students on just general marketing, I had a mastermind class and I just gave so much. And people listened, they applied, and they learned. And the awesome thing that happened from that is that some of the students that I taught actually advanced beyond me, and they learned new things, and they came back to me with that information and shared that back to me so that I could benefit from it as well. And it wasn't anything that I expected, but it was just like being able to give as much as you can to help people change their situation in their life, because you know it's just me giving my life experience, my knowledge, and then it's up to them to apply that information that I have and provide um, and produce something out of it. And those are the kinds of people that I love helping out and talking to the most. That's why, like, we talk so much, Jordan, is that we'll talk about something, and the next phone call we have, you're like excited about the results that you got and just how well something that we just talked about is working. And to me, that feels really great knowing that, um, we just talked. We had a 20-minute, 30-minute talk, and you did this, and the massive results that you were able to get out of that. That's what keeps me going, especially in like our
No, no,
relationship.
one single secret that you
Yeah,
shared with me. One single thing. It was it was, and we were sharing. We created the mastermind principle, which is something that I cherish and I
yeah,
always use. That one single secret, uh, 5x my business in 12 months,
yeah,
and it was brilliant. And you shared it with me, with not with no not wanting something in return, but just because you love sharing your marketing secrets, and I love sharing my marketing secrets.
yeah,
And when that happens, and we're really masterminding, that is when there's kind of like a third intelligence in
hmm,
Think and Grow Rich, which is a book that I live by. A third intelligence is formed, and it's greater than than both of ours are, because you're not only a great developer, but you're actually, I think you're a better marketer than you are a developer, because that one marketing secret, that one simple thing, was the best thing that had ever happened to me in my business ever. And I'm not going to share what it is, because that's for another call.
yeah.
And but what about this? Because this really bugs me. And then after this we'll get to Q&A. I just have a
Sure.
quick. What do you say to people who say, how do I want to make money online, or how do I make money online, or versus I have a business and I want to use the internet as a way to advertise, because those are two different mindsets. And when someone says to you, Nana, how do I make money online? How do you reply to that?
So when you look at those two different questions, um, you can kind of pick that one of them is looking at an opportunity that can, appear now and disappear later, versus someone who's invested in the long game of things. And to me, the long game is what has always produced the most results and the best results, is looking beyond the weeks, the months, the years, and seeing like where the landscape is going to be, what needs to happen in my business, what do I need to do to get to this point, and foregoing, some of the flashy, shiny things that may come up, and sticking to the plan. I have talked to so many people who have wanted to make money online, and they've never made money online. And I talk to them and saying like, hey, it's been like 10 years or 5 years that you've been like trying to figure this out. Like, what is holding you back? And a lot of times they don't see the problem. But in our conversations, I see it almost instantly. It's because they want to make money online and they jump at every single opportunity out there that makes that claim of, I'm going to help you to make money online. And so, they're on 10 million email newsletters. Every one of them's emailing about this new greatest opportunity to make money online. And of course, they jump onto it. And they don't spend enough time and effort into it. And then the next thing comes, and then they jump on that as well. So there's this completely scattered approach to trying to reach this goal destination that they have. And it's just never going to happen when there's a lack of focus, there's a lack of attention to putting that time and effort into seeing something through to the end.
Would you actually share with us that this is probably the best thing that anyone could, if there's one thing you take out of this interview, I think you should understand this. How did you train yourself to get away from the shiny object syndrome? Because I believe that, and I'm sure you believe that when you concentrate on one determined goal, I don't like to say goals, because when you set them and you don't make them, but you get close, you still win. A definite purpose or chief aim, and
right.
how you're able to conquer shiny object syndrome. I think if you could share the secret to that, that would be the best gem on the call.
Sure. So, I've struggled with that for some time as well, where, especially at the beginning when I was trying to figure things out, like I did not know what was working, and I didn't really know like just the whole big picture of like what I was trying to do. And so I jumped around as well, trying to figure out, maybe it's SEO, maybe it's paid search, maybe it's this and that. And what really got me to, understand the importance of this was up until then, I had been like searching for the secret for like how everyone that was doing so well online was like, how were they making it, And it came to me was that they found what worked and they just did more of it. And that was so simple that it almost did not seem like true, because it just it was something that like you expected it to be more elaborate, you expected it to be more fancy, but it's just the focus of finding something, sticking to it, and double down on it, triple down on it, and keep on putting your time and effort into it, because when something's working, you just do more of it versus still looking elsewhere and trying to say, hey, what else can I do different from what's already working? Because I think that's the thing that causes a lot of issue. When you are running a business, or even if you're doing something solo, a lot of times you don't have the resources to be Microsoft or Apple with multiple different products and services and all of that stuff. And even these companies, when you really look at what they're doing, there's a central core focus that everything else is built upon. And that is the one thing that you all have to, you know, figure out for yourself is what is your central core focus? What is the thing that you are going to be master at, your superpower, you know? And then use that to leverage into everything else. You know, figure it out and don't deviate from that, because
I
that
think
is,
that
yeah.
encapsulates, you know, a successful business and how you've achieved success is with that method and strategy. And I'm very grateful for having you as a friend and mentor in my life. So we're going over time here, and thank you for the time. I do, listeners in the queue, if you we'll do a 5 minutes of Q&A. So if you can go ahead and type in a question, that'd be great. Okay, one of the actual questions was, what can we expect from your business in 2019? Because I know you have some stuff coming. Could you share some of that?
Yeah, so some things I'd love to share, other things I'll kind of keep secret until they're ready. But the big thing for this year is a focus on building tools and services for people who want to actually run real businesses versus people who want to run campaigns. Over the years, I've seen that as affiliates mature and grow in this space, they start to realize that this is a real business versus a campaign. And you know, you're only as successful as your current campaign. If that shuts down, then you're in that feast mode. I mean, famine mode. And so I want to create more tools, more services, more solutions that will ensure that you're staying in that feast mode much more often than a famine mode. And some of the key things that that encompasses is creating assets in your business that can continue to generate revenue over and over again. Simple things such as building a list, building a relationship with that list, cultivating a long-term relationship so that you can provide services and goods to that audience that you have built up, and take it from campaigns up to products and services, high ticket, low ticket. All of that stuff comes from that core audience that you have created and grown over the years. So when you look at it,
how can people who are listening get involved with you and get on your newsletter, and how can they do that?
the simple thing, easiest way is to go to Prosper 202. That's PROSPER, the number 202.com. And on that page, you should see an opt-in box. It should probably pop up. And when you're on that list, that's kind of where you get most of like my quality stuff is only sent out on that email list. I don't blog about it. I don't tweet on it. I don't post on Facebook or anything with my content. You'll only see that in my email. So yeah, that's definitely the best spot to reach me for anything that, all the juicy, cool stuff is all in my email.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And again, folks, Prosper 202 is where you're going to be. Is going to be where you can actually get on Nana's newsletter and get information from him. He sends out a lot of great emails, and he also has the Facebook he told you about and the forum. So definitely you're going to want to be involved with Nana this year and moving forward, as his product and service is actually being improved and is becoming and going to be one of the leading service providers in this industry and it still has been for 10 years. So again, Nana, I appreciate your time, and thanks for being on the LanderBolt Business Success Hour. And I know your kids are going to a million kids, so I'll let you get back to that. Again, it was great having you, and thank you for your time.
Sure. Thanks so much, Jordan. I really enjoyed our conversation today, and I thank everyone for spending time listening to us talk about cool stuff today. I'm sure we'll connect online somehow.
Great. All right. I'll talk soon, Nana. Bye.
All right. Bye.